Hey, what's going on social media? I'm Steve Ludwig, also known as Mr. Insurance. Today, what I wanted to talk to you guys is actually something that kind of happened to me. I thought it was a great topic, and there's a lot of things that I actually learned along the way with this, right? The thing that I had learned about was gap insurance. So, recently, what had happened is I had not one, but two vehicles that were actually stolen right off of my driveway. It was a awful event that had happened. Two of my vehicles, one that is my daily driver, and the other one that is my daughter's new car. Didn't plan those things, but ended up happening. When you have those kind of things that happen, if there's, essentially a loss that's in play, you start really kind of thinking about, well, what are the next steps and what should I have maybe have gotten? So everybody knows when you go to the car dealership, and you're in the finance office, they offer you something called gap insurance, right? So gap insurance is basically what the value of the car is, the difference between that and what the loan is. There's a lot of times where you hear the term upside down or negative equity that you have in a car. And if you're like me and you move cars in and out of cars quite often, there is a lot of times there's negative equity that turns up. So what happens is if you don't have that gap insurance, what it'll do is say that you owed $30,000 on your loan and the car was, let's say, worth $20,000. The insurance company, if it's deemed a total loss, are only going to pay $20,000. So the gap is between that 20 and 30, or the additional $10,000 to take care of that. So you don't want to buy gap insurance from the dealership, but you do need gap insurance. And I'm going to explain to you again something that happened to me personally of why you need that gap insurance, right? So in my personal experience with those things, so I had where, the car was not worth as much as what the loan was on it. And I had not bought the gap insurance through the dealer because, again, we're sitting in the car dealership in the finance office. There is a extreme markup on that stuff. Something that maybe costs $5 or $3 or something every 6 months that you can get through what's called loan gap in your insurance policy, you're paying $1,500 or whatever it is, and probably more than half of that is a commission that goes to the dealership or a markup. On top of that, if you finance that, you're paying your percentage finance rate on that additional money. And many times, if you're 2, 3, 4 years into that, most of the time, you don't even have negative equity in that car anymore. You don't even need gap insurance. So with the insurance stuff, you can come and go as you need to. You can be able to turn it off. You can turn it on. Whatever that you need to be able to do, you can do that. If you buy it through the dealership, you can't do that. Now, they can give you a refund on those things, but if you buy it through something like if you go directly to your bank, there's a lot of times where these companies, they will not give you the money back. Or if you go to a high-end type of I'll say an exotic car dealership or something, what happens is that they usually have stipulations that are there inside of that contract that say that, hey, no refunds, that kind of thing. So just trust me when I tell you, make sure to get the gap insurance. This one really saved my ass on it. When I went to settlement on this stuff, it ended up not only just paying off the loan, but it also paid off, the value of the car and everything else. My position could have been $10, $15, $20,000 upside down. Instead, I was at even Steven, and it just worked out a lot better. So do yourself a favor. If you have questions, feel free to shoot a message to me asking about those things, but don't buy the gap insurance through the car dealership. Make sure that you get the gap insurance, but make sure you get it through your insurance guy or girl.